the DORK podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK podcast with Davey. It's the DORK podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK podcast.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hashtag Dork, or tuning in for another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Rick Rude Von Dick Dude. He is Rorschach Von Dorschach. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
Doing great. You know, we had a good night. We're a little delayed tonight, but all for the right reason, fortunately.
Celtics move on. Celtics sweep. We are live here on Monday nights. We normally kick off at 8:45, but I think the next couple of months, we will update you on Twitter. If there's a Celtics or Bruins playoff game, we may change around the times, maybe try to go later, maybe try to go the next day, depending on who's playing when. But figured, you know what? The way it was going, I'm like, they're going to overtime, and they're going to push us to like 10 o'clock. But they didn't this time. They did this time.
So as you know, we don't mess with winning streaks, right?
No.
I have to now wear this hat every single time there's a Celtics game.
Correct. That is, and that probably that corncob TV shirt, which you get on T Public, Billy D's.
Get on T Public. It's still there. Well, it's still there because they have a habit of, they have a habit of getting rid of our things. Now, the issue I have, Richard, I'm not a basketball guy.
No, you're not.
You know, and this is an evergreen, famously not a basketball guy. And I think one of the reasons is watching the end of this, the last 10 minutes of this game. Basketball is the only sport where the referees can completely take over a game.
They can hijack it.
And they almost did it tonight.
The last Jason Tatum fouled out, and that
was the worst foul I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he's a legit superstar now. So even if it was a foul on the sixth one, he better like commit murder to foul out a superstar in the playoffs.
And I know you talk sports enough, but that's my take on basketball. And like why? Because hockey, you know, every once in a while you get a bad call, but like not consecutive calls.
No, refs can F it up. And also the one thing, and I love basketball, it's my favorite sport, but there is something about the flow of the game is so great until the final 2 minutes. And then
in the last 2 minutes, take a half hour.
And I don't know what you do about it. I don't know what the fix is because it's going to be free throws. It's strategy. It's the whole thing. But you're right. Like when people complain about that, I'm like, yep.
It's like, I got nothing. Hey. It's like me when big people are like, baseball is slow. I'm like, sure is.
Yeah, it is real slow.
Yep. Sure, it certainly is. Baseball's boring. Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, it's similar. Like, I'm not going to try to sell it to you. Like, if you like it like I do, great. If you don't, not for you. There's a lot of things out there. Just like Ryan, there's a lot of movies out there. And
sure is, Richard. And some people like them more than others.
That's right. And it's fascinating. I can't wait to get into the topic du jour, which we'll get into very soon because we're just going to do a quick, because of the late start, I want to give the topic du jour time. So let's just do a very abbreviated edition of
This Week in Dork. Yeah.
Barry season 3 came back on HBO on Sunday night. And I'll tell you, I knew Barry was coming out this season, or this year, I should say. That snuck up on me. I had no idea. I saw somebody retweet, or I think, you know, we follow HBO on the Dork podcast account, and they're like, yeah, Barry tonight. I'm like, tonight? I'm like, oh shit. And I don't know if you saw the episode, but off to a great start.
Well, I think this is one of the best, one of my favorite shows out there right now. And I think you tweeted something out about like, we're in a golden age of television right now.
Yeah.
And I just assumed, because you know how like Disney Plus does a thing where like, all right, Obi-Wan's going to start when Moon Knight ends. And like, so there's
not.
I thought Winning Time was going to be, and then Barry would start. But no, they got him on the same night.
Overlap.
Yeah. So that's crazy. And Winning Time's pretty good.
That's my question. Yeah, I like it. I'm a few episodes behind, but I like it. But my question basically was, as far as live shows that week. So I'm not talking about the year in TV shows and you almost can't even count like the Netflix, like bingeable shows. I mean, right now, my DVR has Better Call Saul, Barry, Moon Knight, you don't DVR, but you get the idea. Moon Knight every week, and Winning Time, and Atlanta. Atlanta's also in the DVR. So that's 5 shows that I think any combination of those 5 are going to be in the mix at the end of the year for TV show of the year for us on the Dorkies.
Absolutely. And so someone said, so I'm looking, like I just typed in like best TV by year. And now I'm like down this rabbit hole. Like 2006, you had The Wire, Rome, Deadwood, Arrested Development, South Park, The Office, and Dexter, Lost, and Heroes all premiered.
But you'd have to go back and look at where did they overlap.
South Park. It said South Park. No, South Park.
South Park was on. No,
but,
South Park's always on. You could add South Park to any year, but I mean like during that actual week. Because one thing I looked up, I was like, was Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones ever on at the same time? And I don't think it was.
They said the last season of Breaking Bad and the first season of Game of Thrones overlapped.
No, but okay,
okay. So you're talking on the same night,
ever in the same week?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I looked it up. I think Game of Thrones was usually like April to June, and then Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad was after that. But either way, I'd be interested. The answer is probably just some TGIF lineup when they went Family Matters, Boy Meets World, Step by Step,
or Snick. There was some seasons of Snick that we just could not miss.
Or like probably Seinfeld, Friends, ER, that kind of shit back in the day.
And you remember they always had a shit show.
Yeah,
they had a shit show in between because Seinfeld was on at 9, and then there was and Friends was on at 8, and there was like a rotating shitty show in between the two of them.
Oh fuck! What was the one?
Single Guy with Jonathan Silverman was one of them.
Yep.
I just remember just a bunch of Caroline in the City or so. There was a bunch of shitty shows.
John Larroquette show.
Yeah.
Or there was the one guy. What the fuck was his name? Oh, I could see he was like a stand-up comedian who had they gave him a show for a minute. Whatever. That's probably who it was.
Was it
what the fuck's the guy's name? I think he might even be a local guy, or maybe he's not local. It'll come to me as soon as we sign off on this. Two guys are growing a pizza place from the chat.
Yeah,
that was actually honestly, that show, you realize Ryan Reynolds was a star. I swear to God, if you watch that show, he's still like Ryan Reynolds. It's early, and he's just so much better than the rest of the cast. You're like, that guy right there, I think is going to be pretty good.
I have a list of shows that were on: The Single Guy, Caroline in the City, Boston Common, Suddenly Susan.
No.
The Naked Truth, Just Shoot Me, which was
David Spade. That was a good show.
Yep. Veronica's Closet, with Kirstie Alley.
Yep.
Will and Grace, Frasier, Stark Raving Mad. I'm trying to find the one you're talking about.
You know what? Maybe it was a different network, to be honest. It might have been a CBS show now that I'm thinking about it. God, what was the guy? He was like a very probably pretty successful stand-up, but never my favorite. He had his own show, probably for a decent time. God damn it. I'm not going to be able to remember that.
George Lopez?
It wasn't George Lopez. Oh, have you watched this at all? This is from the chat, too. The Girl from Plainville.
No, I haven't started watching that yet.
I am. I think I might be caught up. There's one show I'm watching with my wife. So you remember this whole story out in Plainville? There was the girl. Her name was...
Oh, is this the one with Reese Witherspoon?
No, it's with Elle Fanning, and she's playing Michelle Carter. And
and she's from Plainville, Mass. The girl who texted the kid to kill himself.
Yes.
Sorry, trigger warning. But that's the one. That's the girl who's
And so I saw the whole documentary. There's an HBO documentary, or somebody had a documentary, and that was fascinating because the headline, not to go too heavy on the show, but the headlines on that show made this girl out to be the devil.
Right.
And then when you actually, once you know all the information, in my opinion, very sad story, but I don't think she deserved any jail time.
No, it's tough because it's one of those things that
it's real tough.
There is some of the responsibility on her, kind of, but you don't go to jail for that,
No. And it was just it was really this poor kid. He had tried suicide before. He had mentioned it a bunch of times that he was going to keep doing it, and she talked him out of it. And then finally, she was just like, I don't even know if she really thought he was going to do it or what. But then this whole angle got created, oh, she was trying to do it to get sympathy from her friends or whatever, or from her school,
which is fucked. Yeah,
I don't know.
No,
I mean, she didn't know how to handle it, but whatever.
Because she's a teenager, and you're not a counselor. You can't do that. You know?
And both of them had a lot of mental health issues.
Yes.
Both of them did. So it's really more of a story about that, I think, than anything else. But anyway, Elle Fanning does a really good job as her. And the story's told pretty interestingly. Like, so for example, like instead of like just reading the text message between the two, they'll create a scene like where they're talking to each other, where obviously they didn't really in that time. But anyway, what did you think of Metal Lords? I know you watched Metal Lords on Netflix.
Oh, so I mean, it's very rare that you tell me that you laugh out loud at a movie and that I should watch it. So, I'm a huge metal fan in my personal life, and what I love about this movie is the kid who you talked about, who's like, this is his first movie. That kid's incredible.
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 He's my favorite character / actor from the year so far.
And there was one scene with him, and I'm not going to give it away what happens, but he shows up at a wedding.
Yep. Amazing.
And says something to like a security guard, and how the security guard handles the situation made me guffaw. Like I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
And like one of the things I loved about it is like the guy who wrote it. So
D.B. Weiss was a big
part. D.B. Weiss. So D.B. Weiss
did Game of Thrones.
Wrote it or directed, and he did Game of Thrones. And there's an awesome YouTube video. Fender came out with these like Game of Thrones, like there's one-offs. Like there's a Lannister guitar, there's a Stark guitar, there's a Targaryen guitar, and it's Tom Morello, Scott Ian, and Nuno Betancourt from Extreme playing these guitars. And D.B. Weiss is playing with them and like holds his own.
Wow.
Like he can fucking play.
Wow.
And Brad Paisley's there too. But so they just jam on the Game of Thrones theme song. Awesome. It's fucking incredible. I'll put it on Twitter, but it's so good. And
what did you think of the original song?
It's so good. That song was amazing.
Thank you. I agree completely. I'm glad you think the same thing, because I heard it and I was like racing through my mind, because I'm like, is that a song? I was like, is that like maybe like not Dawkins, but like is it a band that I'm not super familiar with? And then after the movie, it was like, that's an original song.
That's an original song, and like I said, it's so good. And I was when they play it at the end of the Battle of the Bands, I'm like, this song fucking rips. Like I would, if Face Flower ever had an album, Skullflower, I would buy it.
Did you love the movie as much as I did? What did you give
I liked it. So you gave it a 5. I would also give it a 5.
Okay.
I would also give it a 5.
I thought 5.5. I eventually talked myself down to a 5, but like it's super rewatchable too. Like it's probably more rewatchable than some of the other movies that are as good, if not better. I loved it. I was just in such a good mood watching it. The kid is incredible. I'm telling you, guys, you gotta see this thing.
And
He's
I love
so
that.
good. And the music, but there's something about it, right? Where like if you hear War Pigs, for example, by Sabbath, it doesn't matter when I hear it or where I get in like a whole state. Like I love that fucking song. Not everybody can have the same reaction to it.
And I looked at my wife as we're watching this, because she's like a sneaky metalhead too. Like was super into like old Metallica, and she's like everybody thinks Metallica sucks now.
Same.
But like they played anyway. So they play a bunch of old Metallica stuff, and the soundtrack is incredible.
Awesome.
But one of the things that the kid says is that he's like, and I said this as we were going to bed. I was like, if you like rap, if you like hip hop, you have your people. Like I was like, I don't like Lils. I'm not a big fan of anyone. I don't really like Lil Wayne. I don't like Lil Kim, Lil Poopy, whoever whatever.
There's a little.
I don't like any Lils.
Lil
right.
Yachty.
Right. So my taste is a little bit different, but I do like hip hop. But like, if you're a metal fan, you like everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the only genre where, like, if you like metal, if you say you're a metal fan, everyone likes the same stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of another genre of music where you're like, oh, you're a metal fan, so you like Metallica. Yeah.
I haven't
so you like Judas Priest. Yeah.
As much as I used to, but I love it. Like it puts me in like a good mood. And I know, like, I don't know if that's what it's going for or whatever, but like I fucking love it. I had like watching this movie, I had like the chills a few times. I was just like super, super into it. And so I was listening to on our way to Sharks on Sunday when I was bringing little CC Beans in the car with me.
Oh, yeah.
We were going through Daddy's playlist, and you should have seen her reaction to Chop Suey by System of a Down. You would have thought we just arrived at Disney. And she was like, I don't think she'd even heard the song before. But when it was like kind of slow and she was in the back seat and she's like, Daddy, you ready? You ready? And then it like hit the thing and she was like going like this. It was the fucking best. It was like, Daddy, ready?
It's those moments as a father where you're like, you know what? I'm doing something right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Good
funny.
for CC.
My wife in the car listens to all like the kid songs because she like plays them on her phone, like she has Spotify or whatever. And I'm just like, tell her straight up, I'm like, I don't have those. Like, they're not in this car, so we're gonna listen to this.
Mhm.
I'm like, this song goes hard, right? She's like, yeah, it goes
This
hard.
is
Yeah, it goes real hard.
I love at the end of the video, it's like, we fucking rip.
We this kid's awesome. And so again, it's 90 minutes. I'm telling you, it's super rewatchable. So that's Metal Lords.
And sorry, so I was getting my favorite thing is like the kid's dad is like this big time like plastic surgeon. So he's this kid who has like all this money.
And that guy, I forget his name. He's in a bunch of stuff. He's pretty funny.
He's the guy from the other guy's Shaved, right? So, but the fact that he has like this like completely like new style house, but his basement looks like an 80s basement. Like the kid did that intentionally.
Oh, that's
amazing.
100% what he wanted. And the stuff that he has, I just love
Goblin cock.
I love the fact that it's Battle of the Bands in high school, and the name of the band is Skullfucker, and it's like two dweebs that are in the band. It's so good.
But I also love that the other band who they're going up against are like just nice kids. They're like just trying to be helpful and
chill kids. And what do they play? Like, what are the songs that they play? They're like
they play like they're cover band. They do like Ed Sheeran songs and like all that stuff, and they're just like super helpful. They're like, oh, do you guys need any help? Or like, are you good? And
he's like, fuck you.
And he's like, fuck you.
Yeah. He's like, you guys fucking suck. Like your band fucking sucks. And they're just like, all right, man.
Sorry, man.
Feel that way.
Yeah, it's your opinion. It's not for everybody. We get it.
Yeah, the kid's super nice. Oh man. I can't. I love Metal Lords.
Oh, Goblin
cock. All right. I know. Again, we do.
I will talk about Metal Lords all day, but yeah.
Fuck, I'm gonna watch it again. I watched just like the original songs on YouTube. You can like go and watch that easily.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
Fucking rip. And when he goes up there and he's like, "This song is about the machinery of torment," and you're like, what is going on?
Everyone just staring at him.
The crowd are like, what? And then he just they shred though. All right, we are going to push the Davies Video Game Minute until next week. That of course brought to you by 47 Brand. Go to 47brand.com
and I will have a breakdown of the Overwatch beta that week. Big tease.
You fucking prick. So I was so gung-ho about this.
You're still going to get it eventually. It's just I get it first.
I thought I was going to play it tomorrow night. I even cleared it with my wife. I'm like, can I play with the homies? She goes, yeah, you can. I don't care what you do. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to play with the homies. I had a blocked off schedule. I was going to play Overwatch 2 beta. Turns out PC only.
PC only to start.
So I'm SOL, but guess what? I'm playing Mario Kart tomorrow with the fellas. And I would encourage you, Ryan, to repurchase the game and play with us as well.
Okay.
And if it's a money issue, I'm telling you, we can get 60 people in the chat to send you $1 on Venmo.
Okay.
Should we give out your
Venmo?
Venmo?
This point, it's on principle.
Should we give out your Venmo?
It's Arvon D.
It's just Arvon D?
I believe so.
But double check that right now. Because I want people.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, folks, we don't ask for anything, and I'm not going to beg.
No.
But Venmo Davey $1.
Every little bit helps. Yes, Arvon D on Venmo.
For sure?
Yep.
All right, let me put this in the chat so people can see this.
I'll put it here too. Hang on.
Venmo Arvon D $1. We don't ask for anything. Have we asked you for anything? You're listening right now. You're like, have I asked you for? No, we never asked you for a goddamn thing.
Not a damn thing.
Fucking KPL19's in for $1. He doesn't give a shit. He's in for $1. Give Davey $1. All we're asking for is a fucking $1. And if you give him more than $1, he's a man of his word. He's gonna give it back to you.
I don't know who this kid is, but Goo's co-worker can't play. We had to like fuck off. Like no.
That was one kid. Oh, you know what? He came in last time we played. I beat him a couple times though.
Fuck that kid.
I put him in his place.
Yeah.
So we're playing tomorrow. The homies are playing tomorrow. It'll probably stream on Backcrackers. I'm not sure, but we'll tweet all that out. So tomorrow we're playing Mario Kart just because as a non-PC owner, I was left out of the Overwatch beta. So send Davey $1. You're not doing fucking anything.
You're not doing anything.
My phone's gonna fucking in your Venmo account right now. You're sitting there. Send him $1. Don't be a prick. All right, Ryan, let's get to this.
All right.
Y'all ready for biz? Topic du jour.
What's
Well,
that?
I'm glad you asked. It's the topic of the day. And today, What an absolute project we have in store for you. This is the top 50 comic book movies of all time as of April 25th, 2022, as voted on by the entire hashtag Dork Shared Guniverse. That is a 10-man panel. That is Keefe Davey, Mcu, Scheim, Rossi, Billy D, Dr. Joe, Fryer, and Wes. Those 5, you can check them out. Mcu podcast, Pop Culture PileDriver podcast, TLDR, Change My Mind. And am I missing any? What are you checking your watch for? What are you doing right now?
Someone just sent me $1 on Venmo.
This is what we're talking about.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you very much.
That is what we're talking about, folks. That is the power of hashtag Dork. Send Davey $1. But so it's a 10-man panel, which I love. And so what we were originally thinking is we have a live show coming up May 15th at Idle Hands, 3 p.m. It's a Sunday. So make sure you get out there as well. And we're like, obviously 50 is way too many. So let's do a top 25. But they're like, you know what? Why not do a top 50 and we'll split it up?
Yeah.
And so every single person I just named all ranked 50 comic book movies. And again, it doesn't need to just be Marvel or DC. We're talking Independence, Image, whatever it is. As long as it's based on a comic book, it counts. And so everybody sent me a list of their 50. I ranked them all together. The number one movie on their list got 50 points all the way down. And now we're sitting here with this beautiful list of 50. It's a, again, 10 different people, which I like. It's a very different list than if it was just me and Davey's list or whatever. In fact, Davey had a staggering number of picks, or I should say a staggering number of movies that didn't make the real top 50 that made his top 50.
Which I'm stunned.
You had a lot of movies that didn't, including a bunch that we're going to talk about today. So,
you're saying I had ones that made the top 50 that I didn't even have on my list?
I'm saying, yes, there was a lot of top 50 movies based on the group that you did not have voted. I have a few questions. One, I'm convinced you forgot.
Probably.
And then there's a bunch of others that I think it'll be a good discussion.
Now, we forget that in the Dork Shared Guniverse, I am by far, not by far, but I am the oldest. So it is not.
Yeah, you are the
senior moment. Mm-hmm.
I think it goes
you and Doc. Doc is like a couple months younger than me.
Yep. And then like Billy D and me are about the same age. Rossi, we're all about the same age. Then there's a little bit of a gap. And then there's everybody else, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. That's reflected a little bit, I think, but I don't know if it totally is.
If not, I can explain myself.
All right. Well, I'm
looking at one right now and I'm like, yeah, I think I forgot that one.
I know which one you forgot, but it's actually in the top of spoiler. It's in the top 25 that you forgot. All right, here are the top 50 comic book movies, again, as voted on by the DSG. We'll tweet out at some point to maybe some of the people's lists. So if you really want to get after them a little bit, because I'm telling you, there is enough Rossi horrible takes, and they're not all from Rossi, to last us for the next 6 years.
I can't even imagine. Like, I almost don't want to see the list because I'm going to get fucking pissed.
You'll get pissed. You'll for sure get pissed. All right, so we're going to go back and forth right now and give you numbers 50 through 26.
Let's do it.
Do you want to go odds or evens? What do you want?
I'll take odds.
All right, I will go evens then. So coming in at number 50, we are going with a movie that both Davey and I had much higher than this, but a lot of people didn't even have on their list, and that is 2002's Blade 2.
Which I'm stunned because this is, to me, this is the best Blade movie.
I think you can make a case. I think I had Blade 1 slightly higher on my personal list, but they were so close that like it's either or for me. Yeah. I think this movie is great. I don't know if people forgot about it, slept on it, didn't like it. Only you, me, and Billy D even had it ranked.
Which is fucked because this has an Academy Award winning director directing a Guillermo del Toro directed this movie.
Dracula's. As sure you pointed out, I love Wesley Snipes, and you love Guillermo del Toro. It's the perfect movie for us. It is the closest probably horror comic book movie. Well, there's probably a handful, actually, I should say, but this is one of the best ones done. I actually don't even mind Blade Trinity, to be honest, but
I
Blade
don't
and
either,
Blade
but
2, I think, are fantastic. You had it ranked 25th. I had it 32nd. Billy D had it 35th, and the other 7 idiots didn't have it ranked.
Go back and watch it again. I mean, I think this is one of those movies too that was kind of, I hate to say ahead of its time, but it was a little bit more outside the box.
I
Than
think
what
you're
you
right.
would-
I think it was ahead of its time. This and the original, both of them
Right.
were. Yeah.
Like if Blade 2, directed by Guillermo del Toro, came out now, it'd make $1 billion. If this movie came out now, if this was the Blade movie they showed with Mahershala Ali, this is $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
And I think
With that
these
director,
movies-
that script, those Draculas.
those fucking Draculas.
Yep.
So good. Whistler, what a great character Whistler
Fucking
is.
Whistler's great. Was it
Yeah,
Chris
this one-
Christopherson?
All the other idiots that didn't vote for this, they need to watch it again, or dare I say, some of them may have not watched it at all.
So this is my first disappointment. I'm disappointed that this is so low.
Me too.
You know
this
what?
is one where we see. It's funny. You and I had very different lists at some point, but then the movies that we did rank together were like within 5.
Super
of each
close.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny.
All right,
go ahead.
So number 49. This one, a Zack Snyder film, not the one you think, but this
First Zack Snyder film on the list.
Yep, 2006 300, which is a Frank Miller comic. If you haven't read it yet, it's great. It tells the story of the Battle of Thermopylae and the Spartans. Although historically inaccurate, we're not going to get into that. A compelling and rich story about 300 Spartans who fend off the Persian army at a natural occurring landmark. And it's a really cool story. And visually, this movie was fucking stunning.
Yeah.
And Gerard Butler, I mean, just Gerard Butler, like the people in this movie just fucking yoked in diapers. Awesome.
Yeah.
Leather diapers and just tearing shit up. I thought this movie was incredibly entertaining. And it made classics a little cool for a brief shining moment.
It did. And it was also like the "This is Sparta" line is an all-time classic line, and him kicking a guy in the chest. And when I was
bleeding inside my chest,
I remember being first pitched this movie by somebody, and they were like, "It's Gladiator on steroids," and I was like, "I'm in."
Yeah.
And then again, part of it's true, part of it obviously isn't.
Well, the only thing, there were 300 Spartans.
Correct.
They're correct. But there were also like thousands of other soldiers from other places who were helping them.
Probably,
but there were 300. There weren't just 300 Spartans.
Nope. There was only 300 Spartans, and they kicked everyone's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was that really cool scene with the Oracle where they actually filmed the actress underwater, but then took the water away, so it like had this really cool effect. And they did a bunch of cool, like the slow-mo to fast-mo fighting that Snyder does all the time now. I that was the first time I had, like, since The Matrix, there hadn't been like a really cool visual fight scenes.
Yeah.
And this kind of like blew my mind. I think I saw this in the theater like 2 or 3 times.
And I'm not one of those like Zack Snyder like cult followers that there's a lot of, but when people are like, oh, like they've gone too far the other way, and they're like, oh, he's trash. I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. And like, this is one of the movies I mentioned. I'm like, I like Dawn of the Dead. I like this one. I like, I don't know.
And this was also one of those movies like Sin City where they were kind of like union people were kind of pissed. Like the Academy was pissed about it because it was essentially all green screened. Remember like when Robert Rodriguez did that? He did it with Alita and he did it with Sin City, and people get really pissed because you don't need like union guys to like do you just
they fucking hate
that.
Rodriguez,
yeah,
especially because I think he gave Frank Miller like a director credit or like some kind of credit that the whole Hollywood was like, what? He's a comic book writer. He doesn't deserve that. And like,
right.
Oh,
but this is one of those ones where it was filmed all like basically all in front of green screens, and people were pissed about it.
Yeah.
But a good movie, a solid movie.
Good one. I think half of the people had this one ranked, all pretty low though, hence why it's 49. But half the people have it. All right, coming in at number 48, it is one of the oldest movies to make our list. That is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original, back in 1990. And I remember as a 6-year-old when this came out, one of the most highly anticipated movies of my life.
And I remember one of the things that stood out to me, and one of the things that Pizza Hut is famous for, is like they had like a huge marketing tie-in with this because of the Ninja Turtles and pizza and all that stuff. And that and Book It were reasons I would go to get a personal pizza at Pizza Hut. But I just
Goddamn
remember
Book
like,
to there. Oh my god, I remember my mom would take me and my sister for Book It all the
yeah,
time.
you get your free little pizzas. But this movie, I think really fucking when I was a little older, but still a child, still in the single digits, and this movie was awesome. to
I
me.
love Turtle. Man, Turtles
Mhm.
was trying to think like as a kid between the toys, the TV, the video game, and the movie. Like that is a quadrant
Oh
of
yeah,
activity. And I was in on all of it. Now again, people are like, well, wait a minute, what? How is this on the list? It's comic book
it is a
based off
comic
of
book.
comic
Yeah.
book as well. So this one, man, I loved. I'm trying to think. I probably had more goddamn either this or GI Joes. I had more of. I had like every fucking turtle. I had.
I wanted the van. I never got the van, but I wanted it
Oh, I never did either.
I wanted that one so bad.
I remember I had a foot soldier and his fucking head
Mhm.
popped off somehow. So I had like a headless foot soldier for a while. This is,
Sure.
what are you gonna
Playing a
do?
little too rough with them. It's fine.
It happens.
But
I
again, it
remember one
hasn't aged
time.
well.
No, I remember one time playing with Ninja Turtles as a kid with Shark, who you guys
Yep.
have all heard on the
Sure
podcast.
have.
I had the Donatello figurine,
Mhm.
and he had like his big bow staff. And I was at his house and I was showing him, like, look what you can do with it. And he had like Donatello was like holding onto the bow staff, and I was swinging him around like a motherfucker. Like he
Yeah.
could swing it, like you hold the bow staff and swing him. And first time it's ever happened to me, he detached from the bow staff, smacked Shark in the face, forcing him to cry.
It's like she treasure so you don't get in trouble.
No, dude, we're good.
It was an accident. It was an accident. Don't tell.
Right. Number 47.
47.
So you had your first big beef with Blade 2 being so low.
Yeah.
I have a big beef with this movie being on the list.
See, and I think this is you and I kind of depart here. And I think that 2013, again, another Zack Snyder movie.
Yep.
Man of Steel. I think this movie gets a bad rap. I do. I think that this movie is fine. I don't think it's a top 50. I put it on my list. I don't remember where I put it. Where did I put it?
You did not.
It was not on my list.
It was not on Ryan Davies' list. Me and Davey did not have it on the list. It was on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 10 ballots.
Okay, so let me amend what I just said.
What
I just said was a lie.
I was gonna say you didn't have it on your list, which I agreed with. Dr. Joe had this 28th.
See, I don't think it's that good. I don't think it's a top 50.
I don't like it at all.
I like it more than most. And
Okay.
I will tell you that it's not a top. Looking at the movies that we have ahead of it, it's not a top 50.
It sucks.
It's not. It doesn't suck. I would say it doesn't suck. There are things about it that do suck.
It's dark Superman, man. I don't like it. It doesn't
But
need to
I
be
also
dark
I don't
Superman.
like Superman movies anyway. I think that they're
Same.
other than the Reeves movies. I just don't think. Okay, other than the first Superman, I would say the other Supermen suck.
I was gonna say Superman: A Quest for Peace might be the worst.
That was 4, and that was a canon
Superman.
film. If you ever watched the movie Electric Boogaloo, please watch that about how that movie got made.
Yeah.
And how they just recycled all. They didn't have the money to do special effects, so they just took them from all the old movies. It's pretty awesome.
I just think, and again, we're talking about all comic book movies
Of all time. Yeah.
This is not the 47th best comic book movie of all time.
No, I don't think
I can't accept it.
No. You said there's like 100, 160 or something, 120?
Yeah, I have ranked on my and again, if you start to include the cartoons, which Fryer did for basically his entire list,
right?
You could say that there's there might be 150.
Right. So I think this is the top 100, but not top 50.
I agree.
And I'm worried. I haven't seen the list, but I'm worried about Nick Fryer's fascination with cartoons. I'm certain that if we dig a little deep into his search history, there's going to be something with Japanese animation and plants.
Hentai?
I didn't say it.
No.
I didn't say it. You did.
So I would also suggest with Fryer, and this is great. Like, again, every single person has some splaining to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what it is, but what many would consider the best animated movie, comic book movie, Fryer does not have on his list. And yet he has like a dozen other ones.
So there's no Mask of the Phantasm, but he has myriad others.
Yes.
God damn it. Yeah.
Yes. All right, Ryan, coming in at number 46. We have our first entry from the MCU. That would be Shongxi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which came out this past year. You did not have this one ranked. Everybody else had this ranked kind of like mid to late 30s, 40s, somewhere in there. I think this is probably fair. I enjoyed the movie, didn't love it. I think 46 kind of makes a lot of sense for where Shang-Chi was.
It absolutely does. And it's one of those movies like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine with that movie. I like the the little fellow there with no face. I liked him. I thought Ben Kingsley. I thought bringing back the Mandarin was awesome. It was fine. It's a nice little origin story, and I hope we see Shang-Chi again sometime soon. But
yeah, I like
fine.
this scene with Wong and Abomination. You throw those guys in there. I did not like Aquafina, as we referenced many times during our podcast. You can go check the archives on the Shang-Chi episode that we did. But I did like it. I think he's a good character for the MCU. I like dragons being in the MCU, being full canon there.
Because they're also like dinosaurs. So you know,
I like sweet dino action and I like dragons.
Dragoons. Yeah.
That's what everybody knows about me.
All right. So number 45.
Yeah, go ahead. Number 45.
The OG MCU movie, Blade, 1998's Blade. Now, I remember seeing this, I believe, with you and watching the very first scene of that movie and thinking to myself, where the fuck has this been my whole life?
Yep. There's so much blood.
Just there's so much blood and just like people burning to death and in that club with like the sprinklers start raining blood and all the Draculas are going crazy.
And it's such a great like Wesley Snipes movie. He's so fucking badass in this. Like he is the goddamn man. And you're right. Like this kick-started bringing in Marvel character movies, and like what an obscure Marvel character to take and to launch this off and to really kickstart everything.
And him throwing the blade across like that circular shower room or whatever, and like he catches it that was badass. And soundtrack's great.
Oh, rips. I have a question. Why didn't you rank this in your top 50?
I forgot.
You fuck. You ranked Blade 2 at 25 and you didn't rank Blade 1.
I did. That's a complete oversight on my part. Look.
So this should be higher. I had it ranked higher than anybody else. I had it 25. I think this is one of the 25 best comic book movies. I had it slightly above Blade 2. Mac, Scheim, Billy D, Doc, Fryer, and Wes also had it on their lists. Rossi, Goo, and you did not have Blade.
So here's the problem. So we were talking, this is a little peek behind the curtain. So we were talking as a group, and you said something to the effect of like, the last time we did something like this, Fryer sent you like 8 lists. Like you kept updating.
Fryer this time sent me 3, and I was like, dude, I hadn't added up the total after the first list. Then he sent me a second list, and I did the math on it. Like I added it to mine and whoever else had sent theirs. And then he's like, oh, I sent you one more. I'm like, that does not count. I don't want
So, and I said, I'm like, I finished mine. Do I just send it or do I look at it again? And everyone was like, just send it. I think if I had given it a second look, I would be like, oh shit, I forgot Blade.
And guess what? There's another movie that's a worse omission by you.
Okay, we'll get there. All right. I will answer for that.
All right. 44. Is this me or you? I already forget. It's me.
I'm on. Right. Yeah.
44. And it's funny. This list, without tipping my hand too much, is a pretty fascinating list of some of the earlier comic book movies. Also, like not straight MCU movies as well that are on this list, although we may have some of those as well. But coming in at number 44 is one of my favorite movies, one of Davey's favorite movies. The group did not think so. So if this was a dork list, number 44, The Crow from 1994 would have been a top 20 movie if it was up to me and Davey. But a bunch of idiots didn't have it ranked. Actually, you know what? This is kind of funny. Just like Blade 2, only you, me, and Billy D had The Crow on our list, but we all had it high enough where it got onto the list and it comes in at number 44.
This absolutely deserves to be in the top 50 comic book movies of all time. This was a movie that I saw. Now, keep in mind, the only comic book movies I think I'd seen until this point were Howard the Duck, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman, and Batman Returns.
Yeah.
This was the very
Any of the
first.
Supermans or no?
Sorry?
Any of the Supermans?
I mean, yeah, sorry, but like,
Probably, yeah.
like when I was little, but like
I
when
got you. I got you.
this was the first, I think, R-rated movie I ever saw in the theater. Like I was like alone, like with my friends. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? So I remember the cool kid in my neighborhood who was like one of my brother's friends' older brother, right? I was sitting on the back of the bus with him and I'm talking about like The Crow, and he's like, that's a comic book too.
Hmm.
And I went to Newbury Comics and I found it because it like once the movie came out, it was like a huge deal. The fucking comic book's awesome too.
I've never read it. I gotta check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it. I mean, you can get it now. There's like a complete edition, like extended editions and whatever. But as Corey is saying in the chat too, the greatest movie soundtrack I have ever heard.
Insane.
They actually have a Ghost Rider song by Rollins Band, which is the worst song in the thing, but
well, you're gonna have one turd in there.
Yeah.
So speaking of the cool kid, you know who introduced me to this movie?
Who's that?
You.
Yeah, that's right.
Ryan Davey did, because again, this movie came out in 94. You and I met in 98. And then it was like a year or two after that where we both had like slowly started to develop like our DVD collections, because that was like when the PS2 came out, and that was like when you actually had DVDs, and we sort of didn't have VHSs. And this is one of the movies that you had.
And I was like, you haven't fucking seen this movie?
I'm like, no, I've never seen this movie. And then I was like, this is incredible.
Right.
It's so fucking great. And then it tied it nicely, because then right around that time, obviously I was super into wrestling, and then you get the whole Sting character basically ripping off the Crow. But then when you dig in on the story on Brandon Lee, and it's just like, it's so fucked that he died making this movie and got shot, and you know what scene it is, and they end up.
And the rumor is the scene they kept was the one that he actually died in.
Right.
I don't know if that's true. I doubt it, but yeah.
But this movie is so good.
It's so good.
Now there's been a bunch of sequels and shit like that or whatever, but
which are not good, and it's getting remade.
So this is what I know it is.
And I'm told
everybody else on this list if they didn't vote for it because they didn't know it was a comic book movie, or if they
haven't seen it,
or they haven't seen it because it's great. And again, it dates us a little bit. Like this is kind of right in our wheelhouse, but maybe not everybody else's. But
so I'm told that now this movie's been in development hell for the remake is for like 10 years, and Bradley Cooper was at one point slated to play Eric Draven. Now, Bill Skarsgård is rumored to be playing.
He would be good.
He would be really good.
Yeah, he would be.
Can you imagine him with like the face paint and like the long hair and everything? Like that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
It's me. So 43. Why do I get all the Zack Snyder movies, by the way?
How about this? Zack Snyder again.
Zack Snyder again. Number 43, 2009's Watchmen. A movie that Alan Moore refuses to acknowledge. Along with V for Vendetta, which or From Hell or anything. He just refuses to acknowledge that these things exist.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
This movie's good. I think it's a really good adaptation at the time. Having not seen the HBO program Watchmen, this was a fine adaptation of the movie. The ending, obviously, famously was changed. There was no kaiju at the end. But, I remember seeing this and really liking it. And then the more I watched it, the less I liked it.
I think what lets it down is the comic book is so good that you can make a case it's literally the greatest comic book of all time.
Yes.
It's so dense, it's impossible to adapt it. Like you said, the version they did for the TV show was sick, but that's also because they didn't just do a straight for straight comic, like they did a different thing. They did like a continuation. Whereas this is they tried to do part of the book, but they had to leave out so much of the book. But even with all that said, I actually liked it. I thought it was good. The opening scene is insane. Yes. I liked it a lot.
The credits were incredible. The credits were incredible too.
So, you and me both had it on the list. So did like 3 or 4 of the other guys. And then it was left off a few of the other guys. But
I think this is fine where it is. And I think now, if you were to do this now, it would have to be 3 parts.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to do the movie in 3 parts to do it right.
I agree with that.
And at the time, I don't think you could, other than Lord of the Rings, I don't think anybody was doing that.
No. Yeah, I don't think they thought that at the time. So this came out in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was early MCU or not even MCU at that point.
This is DC too.
No, but I mean like just as far as like comic book movies being like massive hits.
Yes.
So yeah, so that was a little bit tough. All right, coming in at number 42, we go back to the MCU here. Captain America, the First Avenger. I'm surprised. You and I did not have it on the list. I don't think it's that good. I really don't.
I think at the time it was good. I think it's probably the most of, like, there's other bad MCU movies, but they're like entertaining. Yeah. I would say one of the more boring ones, Thor: The Dark World, is probably the most bored I've been in that in Eternals.
Thor: The Dark World, The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2 and 3 are probably all worse than this, but like to me, this was not even a consideration for the top 50. I don't know why. So what happened was, let's see, Doc had it ranked 23rd, Rossi had it ranked 28th, and then a couple other guys had it lower on their list, but that was enough to bump it up here. But yeah, you and me did not have it ranked.
But there's so many and to me, I think in my list too, I didn't want to go too heavy. There are what, 3, 4 Captain America movies.
Yep.
And the other 2 are so much better.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like not even close. So anyway, that's where that checks in. I was a little bit surprised.
Yeah. I don't care for that. 41, Spider-Man Far From Home, 2019. I don't think this made my list.
It did not.
Yeah,
I had it ranked 30th. I kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
No, we were in the throes of Iron Man Jr., which, as Spider-Man fan, like the Spider-Man community on the internet does not like this movie at all. And I have kind of started drinking that Kool-Aid and seeing it for kind of what it is. They fixed that issue to some extent, but this was kind of like watering down the character of Spider-Man to the point where it's almost like I said, Iron Man Jr., which, again, it's one of those ones, the more you watch it, you don't like this movie. I do, but I will say that Jake Gyllenhaal was the shit.
I thought Mysterio was pretty good. I know he's got some flack for that, or the character has. I thought Mysterio was good, and maybe part of it is just like Tom Holland's so good at Spider-Man that like all these Spider-Man movies I like a little bit more than they really are. This is clearly the worst of the Holland trilogy. But I have no problem with it being on the list, so it comes in at 41. All right, coming in at 40, we have a little bit of a run here on the MCU. We're going with 2021's Black Widow. Of course, the movie that got delayed several times because of the pandemic. I really liked it. Now, it might have been a little late to finally get to a Black Widow movie, but I thought Florence Pugh is so good, and David Harbour's character is so good.
So the scene with them around the table kind of saves this movie.
Yeah.
But what they did with Taskmaster is borderline unforgivable.
Yep. That's bad. I'll give you that. That's bad. I do like how they clean up a little bit, like the whole scene with Captain America breaking those guys out of the raft. Like they sort of explain that, and they like how we got there and how Black Widow helped them and all of that. I think she definitely deserved her own movie.
Absolutely.
So that part of it was good. And
you knew
the Florence Pugh character, which is going to be so good and was great in Hawkeye, is going to be great going forward. You get her for the first time here. So this movie, I had it ranked, let's see, 29th, and that was actually higher than everybody else. You did not have it ranked. No. It was low on most people's lists, but at least it was on enough of them to get it up to.
But 4. it's to me, it's like it was just a step to get to something good. So like again, to get Florence Pugh into the MCU as the successor to Natasha is fine, but like, and we discussed this when we went over it. Like, did Black Widow deserve her own movie? Absolutely, but she did. It was 5 years too late.
They did. They may have missed the window. I thought they did a decent job with it. But you're right. It could have been at a better time.
Yeah.
All right.
So after that, we got. I had this, I think, high on my list. I watch this movie maybe once every 6 months. Whenever it's streaming and I see it, I'm like, ooh, and I'll sit down and watch it. 39, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, 2010. Edgar Wright, Michael Cera.
It's great. Yeah, you had it ranked higher than everybody. You had it 17th.
This movie's incredible. I don't understand. And if you look at like young Hollywood, like who's who, like in young Hollywood, like everybody's in this movie. Everybody. And it's just a super fun, like hyperkinetic, like a love letter to all of those things that we love, and directed by Edgar Wright. The music kicks ass. The band Sex Bomb is awesome. So it's all comic books and video games and like references and like all that stuff. And I love it
a lot. Yeah,
I love this movie.
And it's different. It's probably the most different on the list too. So yeah, Rossi, Billy D, Fryer, and West did not have it ranked. Everybody else did. You and Mac had it the highest.
This movie's incredible. Like, I dare you to not like smile and watch this movie. This movie's fucking awesome.
Oh, I agree. And I wonder with those guys too, like who didn't vote for it, it's not like an obvious comic book movie. Again, the Marvel and DC ones are like so obvious, like they're comic book movies. All right, coming in at 38. Now, this one's a little polarizing and it's not super rewatchable, but it is to me a really good movie, and that would be Joker. From 2019, Joaquin Phoenix. Obviously, you and I both had it ranked in the 20s. A couple of guys had Fryer also had it ranked really high. I think he had it the highest, 22, but then it wasn't on a bunch of people's list as well.
And I think there's a lot of the backlash with this too, is like, I don't understand how we got this Joker. Like, did this person basically how I sold so the Batman was basically like 7 plus a Batman movie. This was like Taxi Driver plus a Batman movie. You know, a Batman in a Gotham Taxi Driver movie.
Like the scene with him and Bruce Wayne, I didn't need, and it didn't make sense really.
Not really.
The performance of Joaquin Phoenix was really good. I liked the movie. Again, it's not as rewatchable as maybe any of the other movies that are on this list. But to me, it's a pretty damn good movie. And I love when a comic book villain gets to be a lead character. Like, there's not many examples of that.
No, and I think the issue is too, is like, I don't know. I there's something about it that's a little off-putting, you know, and it's awkward, and it's not the joke, it's not the crown prince of crime, and you don't know how that character is ever going to get to that point. He's fucking crazy, and I hate, you know, but like,
no, he is like the laughing thing. It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable to watch. But it's again, I watched it twice, and I'm like, that's good. I'm good.
Probably all you need. Again, that's not always to me. Like, there's a different list of like best movies, favorite movies. Although to me that's an overlap, but then also like most rewatchable doesn't have to necessarily.
No, like
that's a different list. Like,
and the classic one is like, we say Requiem for a Dream is a very powerful film.
Yeah, you
don't need to watch that more than once.
Like, is Saving Silverman a great movie?
No.
Could you watch it every week? Probably.
Now, I think this is the issue I have. This is a good movie, even if it's not a Joker movie. Like, this is a good. If he wasn't the Joker.
Yeah, and he was
still a good
guy
movie.
doing his own thing, kind of whatever. Yep, you're right.
It's a Taxi Driver-esque movie, and Joaquin Phoenix is really good, and
I got you on that.
Hero's good, and Zazie Beetz is good, and whoever, I forget who plays his mom, she's really good.
Yep.
It didn't really have to be a Joker movie.
No.
I think that's my issue. Yeah.
All right, 37.
37. Kingsman, The Secret Service, 2014. Matthew Vaughn. This movie's fucking great. It's one of those, it's almost like a younger Bond movie.
Yeah,
it has that Bond feel to it, or like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen kind of thing. But I love this idea of, you know, these people kind of like being like the low-key protectors of the royal family. And I love how they have like code names like Knights of the Round Table and all that stuff. And I just love, you know what I love? Gadgets. I wanted to be the whistler, or like the gadget guy, or like the tailor, like the guy who like sets you up for whatever you need. I love that shit. I have such a soft spot for that.
Yeah,
when they do the thing, they take him in the room and like
awesome.
All that shit he sees him, like, that's awesome.
And that the scene in the church,
incredible.
is one of the best scenes. Like if you're just doing scenes, that might be a top 10 scene from comic book movies. The sequels aren't as good, but this movie definitely deserves to be ranked on there. I had it in the 40s. You didn't have it ranked.
I didn't.
Mac, you did not.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Huh.
I mean, I did a pretty good job with my charts.
That's another one. That's another one I missed.
Mcu and Scheim had it pretty high, which was enough to get it up to 37. Number 36 on the list is The Dark Knight Rises, 2012, the end of the Nolan trilogy in the Christian Bale Batmans. It's funny. I don't think I love this movie, but I've been trying to keep track of all my comic book movies, and I personally have it ranked 45th. So it's a little bit higher than even I thought. Again,
where did I rank it?
You did not rank it.
Maybe I was. Maybe it wasn't a bad mood. I don't think this is a top 50 though. I don't.
No, I don't. I mean, again, I have it 45, so it's like you're not gonna get a big argument out of me. It ends up being 36. Mac had it 17 and Scheim had it 21. I don't think it's that good. I don't think like Anne Hathaway is a great Catwoman. I actually kind of like Bane. Bane's pretty polarizing too. I think Bane's good. I hated how they did the whole like Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like not even like a real character from like the Batman universe. There's a million Batman characters. You can't give him one of these Batman characters. You have to make up your own. Like I didn't,
or like someone said like he was, but it's just like a minor character.
Yeah,
John Blake.
I didn't like it.
No, and I also didn't like Talia al Ghul. I thought that they did her dirty.
Yeah,
that's a spoiler. That's a spoiler. That's on you, not on me. So
no, that's been out 2012.
I mean, this movie's good. It's not. There's much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's even better than this movie. So 2005, we V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
So this was Hugo Weaving, Natalie Portman, and I believe the Wachowskis did this, right?
Oh, that sounds right. I'm not 100%.
They might have directed it, but they like produced it. So and again, high hopes for this movie. It's okay. I haven't seen it in I think 10 years.
Yeah, the Wachowskis did the screenplay, not directed by them, but yeah.
This, it's all right. It's good. I like there's a couple really cool scenes.
Billy D had this 19 on his list. Oh no, wait a minute. Fryer had it 17.
Yeah. Big Natalie Portman, shaved head Natalie Portman, guys. That's all I can.
I liked it. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
It was cool, but like again, if not to be that guy, but Alan Moore's property is far superior to another one that he was vehemently against them making. And I think this was the first one that he took his name off of.
Probably.
They mentioned his name in the credits in Watchmen and I believe in From Hell, but he was like adamant that he wanted nothing to do with this.
Doing Junko Inoshima from Danganronpa.
So that lady also used to do the V for Vendetta, she told us.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
She really liked it.
So that's all I got on that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I like it. I think it's good. I think that was in my collection.
Yeah.
Movies here. Is it up to me? All right, it's
34. Yeah.
All right. Coming in at number 34, we're going back to the MCU. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I think is the superior film to Ant-Man, which we may or may not get to coming up here. Davey did not have this ranked. I had it ranked 34th. Davey, in fact, was the only person not to rank Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, like it's a popcorn movie. It was entertaining, but it's not like oh my god, have you seen Ant-Man and the Wasp? Like who's ever said that? Like oh my god, you haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Did you say that about all 50 of the movies that you ranked?
Most of them.
Okay.
Like if you haven't watched Watchmen, you haven't seen The Crow? Like what are you out of your mind?
Oh, The Crow, I'm with you on.
Yeah.
I agree with you on The
But
Crow.
like how many people are like the top? It's not a top.
Yeah.
Where are we at 35? It's not top 40.
That's 34.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So up to you.
For me.
I have to pee like you couldn't read about.
I read about pee quarterly. So you want me to do the next one?
I'm gonna go blind. I gotta pee so bad. So why don't you do number 33 and I'll be right back in one piece time.
Let's see how long. Ready, go. All right. So we're gonna do number 33, which is Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins directed Wonder Woman. This movie to me is good. This was at the time, and this is pre-Shazam, so this is after Man of Steel, this is after Batman v Superman. So in my head, I mean, what pushes this movie kind of over is the fact that the DC properties were so bad to this point that anything good coming out of DC and the Snyderverse was going to be kind of put over. And I think that Wonder Woman is a solid movie that got way too high of a bump because everything else that came out before it was garbage. So you had, like, again, you had Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. I'm trying to think of the Green Lantern. Like, you think of like where the DC properties were, other than the Nolan verse. So Nolan verse is kind of a side. So I don't know. Maybe in the chat, you guys can talk to me about like how you feel about Wonder Woman. It had some really cool scenes. A terrible big bad reveal in the third act. So as I was saying, Richard, that was the fastest pee I've ever seen in my life. But
I was trying to hustle. I was like, I was like, should I just be in pain the rest of the episode, or should I get up like an adult and protect my kidneys? So I had to get up. And so Wonder Woman, you had ranked 28th.
And I said, what did this movie justice was that everything before it in the DC properties was such trash that this movie gets a little bit of a bump for being a decent movie.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's 100% what I was thinking when I saw that it made the list from everybody else. I did not have it ranked. I don't think it's a horrible movie by any stretch. It just wasn't in my top 50. And I was like, I think if you go back and watch it now, it probably wouldn't be in everybody. Not that we have the time to go back and watch all these, but if you watch all of them, I don't think you would be in most people's top 50. I think it's the stink of the DCEU. And then Gal Gadot is awesome, and she's a perfect Wonder Woman. And you see it, and you're like, oh, this is pretty good. But I heard you talking about the final act. You're like, man, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, like a terrible reveal of the main villain. You're like, well, that's kind of dumb.
I'm out on that movie very much. All right, coming in at number, where are we at now?
32.
32.
This is inexcusable.
This is hilarious to me.
Inexcusable.
The first animated movie to appear on our list, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which was released in theaters in 1993. I had it ranked 20th. Davey had it ranked 35th. It was very high on, let's see, Goo's list. No surprise, 15. Scheim had it ranked 12th. He loved it. Rossi, Billy D, Fryer, and Wes did not rank.
See, this is why I said it's inexcusable, because I know that there are going to be other animated movies that jump this one, and I don't think that's right.
Well, that's because Fryer is a silly goose when it came to some of these animated movies. I like a lot of the animated movies, but if you really sit down and think about it, like, are they truly better than like 40 to 50 of these live action ones? No, but this one,
I think this one is.
And so yeah, we both do. We both had it ranked pretty high. I think it's great, but it's hilarious if we I'll tweet out Fryer's list at some point. But the fucking number of movies he has. All right, so I wrote down everybody's highest ranked movie that didn't make the total list. He had Justice League Dark, the animated movie, 12th on his list. And fucking, he didn't have Mask of the Phantasm, which is incredible. It's a top 5 Batman movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was my highest ranked movie that didn't get placed?
Akira.
Oh fuck, man.
Akira, you had ranked 10th on your list.
Because that it's a landmark movie and was a manga. So like that,
I don't know if I've seen it. So I bet that's probably more the case. I bet not everybody has seen it.
How have you not seen Akira?
I don't know.
Oh,
you can't watch everything. All right, you can say Jesus all you want. Wait till we get to one of the movies you didn't have ranked. We'll get to it at the live show because it's already a top 25 movie.
And again, I'm gonna say that I forgot. You're gonna have to tell me which one it was so I can prepare a statement.
I'm not gonna tell you.
Oh, this sucks.
I'm not gonna tell you.
All right,
let's get to number 31.
31, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is, again, I don't have the list in front of me, but I assume that the original Guardians of the Galaxy is real high.
It's higher than 31.
It's higher than 31. And this movie, again, it's really, really good. And it belongs in the top 50. Again, it's not as good as its predecessor. It's a nice little movie. It has one of the best opening scenes with little Groot dancing around and have like that in the theater in 3D was really impressive.
Yeah. This movie, there was one person in the DSG who did not have this in the top 50.
Mac.
No, Mac had it 14th.
Oh, nice.
I am talking to that person. Ryan Davey did not have Guardians 2 ranked.
Come
and
on.
again, it's still not the biggest snub. So your list, I actually really liked your list. I was going through it, and there was a lot of movies that not everybody else had. And I'm like, oh, that's great. But the problem
maybe
was,
it's just like I missed a lot because I was trying to like.
Yeah. Nah.
And I remember I'm trying to go back to because I made this like 2 weeks ago, and I'm trying to think of like I had to take personal feelings aside and say like what was the better movie objectively? What is the better movie, right?
You know what I think your big issue was? I think a
What's
lot
that?
of times, whether it was a sequel or a trilogy, rather than putting all of them on there, like in some way,
Yeah.
you kind of like singled out one of them. Like
Maybe
so
that was
Guardians-
it. Like I
Guardians
didn't want
2,
to
you're
put
like
too
Guardians.
much.
Like Spider-Man, you were like, well, I think you did vote Homecoming and No Way Home, but you're like No Far From Home. And then there was
But
a
I also
couple
had
other-
Spider-Verse too was on there too, so that's kind of like.
Well, yeah.
I was very Spider-Man heavy too. I feel like.
Well, actually, in one case, you weren't. Like, anyway, we'll get to all that. So, Guardians 2, again, I like it. Guardians 1's my favorite, and then so when you go, this was not nearly as good. But when you're talking about the best, I had it ranked 33.
Okay.
So it comes in at 31. I have absolutely no problem with it being 31. Here's one where I have a massive, massive issue with, but apparently I am very much in the minority. One of my all-time favorite movies, let alone comic book movies, comes in at number 30 on our list.
Mm-hmm.
And that is 2005's Sin City. Another Frank Miller. This is Robert Rodriguez. We were talking about it before. He had Frank Miller in there. Very green screen. So green screen, in fact, that the fuck, what's his name? Mickey Rourke, his character of Marv, and Elijah Wood's character. If you remember this movie, they obviously have some very, very close hand-to-hand combat and fight kind of scenes. They never even met each other.
Right, because it was all stunt people.
It was all stunt people, and it was filmed like crazy, and it was literally shot. It looks just like Sin City. I got a couple books up here I could pull down, but like it's literally filmed like that. It's an all-star cast. I think everybody does a great job. Clive Owen's character is so good. Mickey Rourke's character is so good. Bruce Willis's character is so good. You got Brittany
Rosario
Murphy.
Dawson.
Dawson is awesome.
You got Carla Gugino dumping them out in the movie.
I fucking love Sin City. I had it ranked 7th, which is, again, nobody else had it anywhere near that. You had it 24th.
Yep, it's top 25.
Yep,
top half.
Everybody else was lower than that. What's his name? Fucking Rossi didn't have it.
You
Rossi,
watch,
you piece of shit.
This is This Week in Horrible Rossi Takes.
Rossi didn't have Sin City in his top 50.
There is a 20-second part of this movie where Jessica Alba is dancing on top of a bar, and I dare you.
Great point.
It rivals Selma Hayek in From Dusk Till Dawn. I dare you to find something better, where the person does that and remains completely clothed.
This movie's so good. That opening, so the opening scene that they shot with Josh Hartnett, and it's like sort of the monologue and that whole thing. Apparently, that's what Robert Rodriguez, like they filmed that,
Right?
And they kind of like shot that around. They're like, so this is like what the movie would be.
Mm-hmm.
And that like sets the scene for it. Unfortunately, the sequel stinks. A Dame to Kill For.
Yeah,
it's terrible. Like Clive Owen's not in it. I think Josh Brolin takes his place or whatever. It sucks.
Do you know who's fucking awesome in Sin City and doesn't get enough credit for it? Is Benicio del Toro.
Oh, Benicio del Toro's great.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying Michael Clark Duncan.
Him too.
Or Jamie King.
Jamie King. Yep. 29.
Or the girl from Gilmore Girls, Alexis Bledel.
Oh, Alexis Bledel. Yeah. The blue eyes on her.
Dude, I love Sin City. I'm bummed out that nobody else liked it as much.
I'm going to watch that right after this. I love that movie.
Fuck you.
Number 29, Shazam.
Shazam!
Just a fun little movie.
Yep.
And I remember reviewing this with you and saying, here's the issue with Shazam. Who was the bad guy?
Right. Just fucking whatever that guy creature.
Whatever.
Was.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't, right? But this was just such a break from what DC was doing that it seemed like, and I remember asking you, like, why can't they just do this?
It was fun.
Like, why does everything have to be so serious? Like, I remember laughing at this movie's funny.
It was legit funny. Yep. Zachary Levi is really good as Shazam. I'm looking forward to the sequel, which I know keeps getting punted. Fury of the Gods keeps getting punted. I didn't have this ranked in my top 50. It's not that I forgot about it. I think I got to look at my master list. It's probably like 51, 52. Like it's in that mix that just missed. Like there's a lot of those DC movies. What is Wonder Woman, Shazam, Birds of Prey to me are all on that cusp and they're all just outside. But again, I have no problem with this being on the list. It's a fun as shit movie. Most of you guys had it on your list somewhere. So and it's Rossi. Where do you think Rossi had it ranked?
Like 6,
12.
Like for me, I love the idea of Shazam that like, what would a kid do if he could turn into Superman? Like, what would you do at 14? Like, I would do the same shit they did.
Yep, I agree.
So it's just a fun little movie,
So dueling surprises here.
Sure.
Dueling surprises at number 28 on our list is 2002's Spider-Man. So Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire. Again, it was after Blade, it was after X-Men, but it was one of the ones that people point to as like, holy shit, you can really make good comic book movies.
Sure.
And Green Goblin, who came back, Willem Dafoe for this most recent Spider-Man, was really, really good in it. I like this movie a decent amount. I had it ranked 37th. Again, there's been enough movies that have passed it by, but I understand the importance of this movie. Really liked it. The costume's slick, the web's slick, the whole thing's good. Ryan Davey is the biggest Spider-Man fan I know in my life.
Sure.
Did not have this in his top 50.
This I can explain
Okay.
because, as you said aptly, that this was kind of the precursor to like what could be done. I feel now as though this movie has been passed so much, like light years ahead. I think Spider-Man 2 took this to a completely different level. This was a great way to get in the door. I'm pissed at what Sony's done with Spider-Man to this point.
Yeah.
But now with the advent of the Tom Holland movies, you understand that like these can be really good, and not even like the Spider-Verse is fucking incredible. Like that is the best depiction of Peter Parker I've seen on film is actually Peter B. Parker. And I have a soft spot for that movie because like, and they did a little bit of this.
I'm not surprised that it wasn't in your top 20. I'm just surprised it wasn't in your top 50.
And again, I think that the properties come so far that I think that it's it's just going to get pushed out. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not a good movie, as we've said before. But this one I can kind of explain as to why it wasn't in my top 50.
All right.
It's a bummer because there are so many cool things about it and so many things that like people have taken, from that. But
our friend Jason Rossi, who we've referenced, the Pop Culture PileDriver podcast.
Oh, yeah, I'm aware.
He thinks the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from 2002 is the 5th best comic book movie of all time.
It's not.
It's not at all.
It's not.
It might not be the 5th best Spider-Man movie.
It's not. See, I mean, again, I would rank them.
It's not the 5th. It's not even the 5th best Spider-Man. It's not. For sure not, because that means you're putting it above Spider-Man 2, Far From Home, No Way Home, Holland trilogy, and Spider-Verse.
Right? No.
But God love him. That's why we have him a part of this, evidently. So we still haven't had, I don't believe, a unanimous selection. I don't think we're even going to get one until the top 25. So let's go to number 27.
Well, if we haven't had, you need to explain to me why this one is not a unanimous pick, and that being 2003's X2.
Well, of course I can tell you why.
This is This Week in Horrible Rossi Takes.
Probably the best X-Men movie.
Rossi and Billy D did not have X2 ranked. It's not the best X-Men movie to me, but I had it ranked 18th overall. You had it ranked 13th overall. And this is where I think, even though Ross and Billy are our age, I think you get a little bit of the age thing. I was surprised by the X-Men kind of hate in this, because I understand X-Men kind of similar to Star Wars. There is the haves and the have-nots, but I think some of the haves weren't getting the just due in this process. Hence X2. Again, if this was a hashtag dork experience only, this would have clocked in at like 15th. But on this list with everybody else's, bunch of guys had it in the 30s, couple in the 20s, couple didn't have it ranked. But X2, to me, that movie fucks. The Nightcrawler scene alone at the beginning should get this up in the top 20.
And again, it kind of kicked off the Dark Phoenix thing, which they kind of abandoned and then brought back, which they should have done.
Yeah, right.
They didn't do a great job with that. And I don't think that's a movie you can do, to be honest with you. I don't think you can do that movie.
No, the animated show, saga. And the animated show did it better anyway.
Yeah. And someone said, Job said in the chat that like Wolverine or Logan is the best. It's not an X-Men. To me, Logan is not an X-Men movie.
See, I would count it. I would count Logan, and I was on the fence before, but I would even count Deadpool now as X-Men because there's so many references to it. They go to the mansion. Colossus is in it. Like, I would probably even side towards that.
So by that logic, is New Mutants an X-Men movie?
Might be. Yeah. I think it's more New Mutants than it's more X-Men than like anything else.
Right. Because they do make mention of like other, like the school and other X-Men, someone's brother.
Probably is.
Yeah.
No, but I love X2. I feel like
X2 is great.
X-Men and X2 got completely shit on in this. At least X2's on the list, and 27's somewhat respectable, but I would have had it. And in fact, I did. I had it higher. You and I both had it higher. So.
So someone bringing up good points. The fact that like Professor X and other mutants are in Logan, you're right. It does make it an X-Men movie.
I mean, to me, Logan definitely is an X-Men movie. Yeah,
it's got X-23 and it's got all. So you're right. I take that back. So but like, yeah,
like X-Men's not in the title. If you wanted to go that
right. And I think that's more what I meant is that like it's not like a team movie.
No.
there's
Clearly,
no team involved. But
because he killed them all, or Professor X killed them all.
26.
All right, this is it. This is going to round out our list for tonight. 26. Go ahead. Oh, this is me.
It's you. Yeah,
I already forgot. 26. Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass from 2010. Almost a unanimous selection. Wes from the Change My Mind pod, the only one of the 10 to not have it on their list. And Mac from the Mcu podcast had it 7th on his list. He is very high on Kick-Ass. Let me just double check here. I had it 41. You had it 40. So we were kind of in lockstep there. But Kick-Ass is enjoyable, funny, violent.
Nick Cage is out of his mind.
Nick Cage out of his mind, which
Chloe Grace Moretz is great as Hit Girl. Aaron Taylor Johnson, who has made quite a little career playing superheroes, and he will take a turn as Kraven the Hunter coming up soon. So
that'll be good.
He's been in a lot of properties. He was Quicksilver. He was Kick-Ass. He was Kraven. He's now, what else did he do? Kick-Ass 2, which was a shitstorm. But
Kick-Ass 2 sucked. Yeah, Kick-Ass 2 was a shame. Like that was sort of like the Kingsman sequels, where it's like Kingsman, and you're like, nah.
The Kingsman might have been the worst movie I've seen this year.
Yeah, I didn't watch that strictly because you said it was so bad.
Yeah,
I'm glad that this is on the list. Again, you and I both had it a little bit lower, but I have no problem with it coming in.
No problem. No problem with it. Ultra violent, super cool. Yeah.
Real quick, 50 through 26, and I like the group here because it's a kind of all over the place. But Blade 2, 300, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Man of Steel, Shongxi, Blade at 45. Then The Crow, Watchmen, Captain America, The First Avenger, Spider-Man Far From Home, Black Widow at 40, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Joker, Kingsman, The Secret Service, The Dark Knight Rises, V for Vendetta at 35, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Wonder Woman, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Sin City at 30, then Shazam, Spider-Man, X2, and Kick-Ass.
It's a good spread. Like it's a vastly different list than I thought we were going to get. I thought it was going to be there is a MCU slant, but I'm glad it's not as heavy as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean that was to be expected that there's going to be a lot of that. But overall, I think it's a pretty good start. And again, we're going to have our top 25 25 coming up May 15th at Idle Hands, a 3:00 start. It'll be live there. Unfortunately, that will not be on YouTube. So you have to either go to Idle Hands or listen to the podcast. We'll put it out, I think, Monday night or whatever when we do that. Top 25 is pretty interesting. And there's going to be some good debates because there's still some movies, although there's several unanimous movies where people have things ranked. There are a few that people don't have ranked that are in the top 25.
I'm dying to know which one I left out.
There's one. So like you had a good explanation. Again, you don't need to take my word for it, but I thought you had a good explanation on Spider-Man. But this one, there's no way in fuck that you meant to do it. I even double checked your list because I'm like, well, maybe I missed it when I was like entering all the.
You got to tell me when we're done. You got to tell me.
All right.
You got to tell me what it is because it's gonna kill me. It's gonna keep me up at night. I'm gonna go over my list, like pour over it, and I'm not gonna know what I missed.
There was also, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 10 people. 4 different movies got number 1 votes. But we'll get into that when that all happens. So that is pretty good. All right, let's rip through a couple of things here quick as we wrap up.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb.
All right, Ryan, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may also choose to defend a goal?
I will receive this week, and I will tell you why. Because my pick of the pod this week, here we go. Freddie Molina, Andrew Berthud, Paulie Jarian, Job Shattuck, Danielle Pursley, Brad Tricomi, Corey Padilla, all have donated $1 to the Ryan Davey Fund to get Mario Kart back. So you all of you are my pick of the pod this week. Thank you very much. Unnecessary, but thank you.
That is great stuff. No, it is necessary because we need Davey out there to defend his crown from the Mario Kart Invitational, or the Dork Invitational 1, where he was victorious. So we need
by
him
a fucking landslide too. Wasn't even close.
Was it? You might be able to get the game for $50. I know it's probably 60, but let's figure out. Let's get there, folks. Let's get there.
And I think I got to do digital. I got to go digital with it.
Tuesday morning, you're driving into work, you're listening to this podcast, and we appreciate you listening to the podcast. Throw Davey a buck. You probably have money left over in your Venmo anyway, and you're not going to spend that amount. So it's just sitting there. It's not doing shit. Send him a buck. I'm going to do it as soon as we sign off. I'm going to shoot him a buck. Send him a buck. He's going to buy the game. We're going to say, you, the Dork listener, got Davey Mario Kart 8. So we appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Our pick of the pod is very simply, our guy Billy D came out with a teaser for the top 25 or top 50 comic book movies of all time. We tweeted it out at Dork Podcast, put it on Instagram at Dork Podcast, and it's on YouTube. So check that out. A lot of great clips from a lot of movies that were featured here tonight and that will be at Idle Hands as well. Next week, Ryan, we are still 2 weeks away from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So we're going to do a rewatch of Doctor Strange, the 2016 film. We did do this pre-WEEI, so there's an episode out there in the world somewhere. It's probably not easily accessible.
Lost to the winds.
But I think it's worth doing a rewatch of it. I wonder if you think better, worse, or the same as the first time. And I kind of wanted to watch it again anyway, leading into this one. I know so many movies have happened in between, including 3 different Doctor Strange appearances since then.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still curious, like if they do anything from this movie or not. So if you guys want, I know it's available on Disney Plus. Rewatch Doctor Strange. So that'll be our episode next week. Then we're going to do Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Then we're going to do our live show, which is top 50 comic book movies. Then we will get to Moon Knight. So I know we're going to be a little delayed on Moon Knight, but we will do Moon Knight, but it won't be until sort of towards the end of May. But don't worry, we're going to get there. So we have a fucking jam-packed next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
Very busy.
All right. That's
Very
that.
busy.
Twitter,
That's
Instagram, Network Podcast, the whole thing. Leave a review and send Davey a buck. Don't be a jackass. Send him a buck. Right. You don't give a shit about anything, do you?
What'd you say?
I said, you don't give a shit about anything, do you?
Not really.